The silence of stones echoed in my mind like a broken promise. I sat on the worn couch, my fingers tracing the edge of the chipped ceramic mug I'd kept from my grandmother's kitchen. The team had called me a pest, a squander of talent. "You're wasting time," they'd said, their voices dripping with the hollow certainty of people who had already let their hearts break for me. "This is pointless." But I wasn't a squander. I was an archaeologist, a seeker of truth buried in the concrete bones of cities. It had started as a whisper in a dusty room, though I'd barely noticed it at the time. My grandmother had once told me about the old stone walls in our backyard, the ones erosion had carved into forgotten stories. "Look," she'd said, her voice soft but firm. "There's history here, Joe, it's waiting." But I dismissed it as nostalgia, a silly game. Until the day she passed when I found her journal, ink smudged but visible, its pages filled with sketches of the same stones. "These aren't just stones," she'd written. "They're voices." Now, years later, I was back in our house, my throat dry as the air inside. My grandmother's old house, the one my parents had called a nest of dust, was bustling with life. Neighbors came to admire my work, artists, engineers, even a few skeptical scientists, trailing behind like friends. My heart raced. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about the man I'd fallen for. My phone buzzed. A message from my old teammate, a man named Eli. "Hope you're doing well." I opened the screen and there she was, laughing, her face bathed in the warm glow of the evening. She wasn't the same, more confident, more collected. She had a project, one that felt bigger than herself. But when she saw me, she paused. Her eyes met mine and for a heartbeat the world slowed. "Joe," she asked, her voice steady. I stared at the phone. Then I looked down. The screen showed a photo, me, young and determined, standing before a crumbling wall in the city's East District. Workers were shaping it into a vibrant mural, each pebble told. My family wasn't there, but my hands were still, gripping the device tight. "You," she said, tilting her head. "What are you doing? This is really you." I nodded, but the image had since faded. What I saw now was something else entirely. A young man, mid-30s, with a paunchy stomach and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He was dusting the site, his fingers brushing over the same stones I'd studied as a child. The camera caught his shadow stretching behind a fence, large and uncharacteristic. Then came the question. "Why do you lie here, Joe?" His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. "Your team, they said you'd never make it, that you'd fail, that you were a failure." I froze. The words hit like a bolt. I didn't understand why they had thought I was a failure, but the thought lingered. "You were supposed to be a rock, not a rock star." But then he saw the mural. The way the light caught the paint, the stories etched into every crack. He leaned closer, his expression softening. "You wanted to hear them, right? The voices buried under concrete." "I did," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "But what if they were wrong?" He smiled, a real one this time. "What's the point of listening if you don't listen?" The conversation that followed wasn't about my past. It was about me. About the moments I'd taken seriously, the risks I'd made, the people I'd hurt by clinging to what others saw. My grandmother had been right. These stones were more than history. They were lessons. And now they was teaching me how to heal. That night I sat in the old house, the mural beside me still gleaming under the moon. My family gathered around the table, their faces a mix of curiosity and relief. My sister asked about my job. My brother admitted he didn't know where he wanted to go. My mom's hand brushed mine, a silent promise. "You're a success, Joe," she said. "But remember, success isn't just about what you've built. It's about who you honor along the way." I looked at them, their faces familiar but transformed. I was no longer the mocked child. I was the man who stood up to betrayal, who turned a curse into a catalyst. The stones I'd studied became the roots of something new. The city, once a canvas of neglect, was blooming again. When I looked in the mirror later, I didn't see a disappointment. I saw a person who had faced a storm and emerged stronger. The shadows from my past still lingered, but they no longer defined me. In the end, the karma of my choices paid off. But not just karma. I paid mine with heart. And that's the greatest reward of all. This story isn't just about me. It's about the power of staying true even when the world says you're wrong. Because sometimes, the greatest victories come from standing up to the loudest voices and learning to listen to the quiet ones. The journey from mockery to mastery is one for the ages. It's a testament to the idea that failure is not the end. It's the masterpiece in disguise. And as I stand here, looking at the stones that once held their secrets, I realize the real treasure wasn't the silence I broke. It was the noise I created, one bold stroke at a time.